Welcome to 2C Talks. I'm your host, R-2C, and in this week's episode, I sat down with Samson Williams, who's a partner at Axes and Eggs, a blockchain think tank, and is also a FinTech instructor at LEORON Institute. Samson educates people of all walks of life on emerging technologies like blockchain, fintech, and AI, and does a great job of explaining some of these within the podcast. Please do remember that topics discussed within this podcast are not to be construed as financial advice. Always do your own research. Neither Samson nor I are financial advisors. With that said, until next week, I do hope you enjoy the episode and thank you very much for tuning in. Learn more at axesandeggs.com. This broadcast is brought to you in part by bitcoinbasics.org, helping you get started with Bitcoin.
My name is Samson Williams. I'm a partner at Axes and Eggs. We're some type of think tank based in Washington, D.C., and we do business in D.C., Dubai, and Europe. We do almost zero business in the U.S., which enables us to talk a lot of shit to our competitors here in the U.S., which is always fun and exciting because... You still hear me?
You came out, you faded just a little bit.
Okay.
There you are, you're better.
By training, I'm an anthropologist, so I focus on humans and culture. As I like to say, until the AIs take over, humans are the only customers we've got. So let's talk about humans.
That's awesome. I love that. I mean, like I purposefully never go through the self-checkout aisle in the grocery store. Take advantage of you. Enjoy the humans while we have them. Well, Samson, I love what you do. The reason why I reached out to you is because you're just, a prominent figure in the space, and you deliver information about blockchain and cryptocurrency and distributed ledger technology in a way that's digestible and is easy to understand. And I love your enthusiasm. I think you do fantastic work, and just want to pick your brain about a couple things. Firstly, I'd like to know what is it that you're most passionate about?
My nephew, whose name is Samson, he's 14 months old. So my brother, in a brilliant stroke of just strategy, named my nephew after me.
Oh,
so his name is Samson Zander.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, they live in Mexico. He's a little Mexican chocolate, or not as chocolate as me, version of myself. So that's probably what I'm most passionate about.
That's beautiful.
My brother is like, hey, Samson needs, and I'm like, yes, Samson does need that. But outside of that, I'm a big fan of education.
Okay.
It's one of the things that no one can ever steal from you or deprive you of. Once you know something, you know something. Unfortunately, as education goes nowadays, most people have been lied to, fed a bucket of shit, and they don't know it's shit. It's always been called ice cream, but it's actually shit. And so the easiest way I summarize that is, if you've been deceived, if they lied to you about Santa Claus, what else have you been deceived about?
Right.
And there's
That's
some
good way of putting it.
Yeah, there's some fundamental things that people have never questioned or challenged, and particularly blockchain and cryptocurrencies. They make you take a step back and be like, oh, money doesn't have value because that piece of paper has value. It has value because it represents something else. And I'm like, yeah. But when we start talking about credit, and most money is nowadays credit, it's like, yeah, the full faith and credit of the United States government, particularly under this administration, I actually probably have more faith in myself than our current POTUS.
I agree.
That's just me.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. So, like, what is your current stance on the economic state that we're currently in, either global or local?
Oh, yeah, we're fucked. Hold on for me one moment. I'm going to turn off the air conditioner. Hold on.
Yeah, no, please feel free.
Hello?
Yep.
Okay. We're still fucked. Interruption aside, we're still fucked. For a variety of reasons. Most of it has to deal with the greatest generation setting up the baby boomers who set up subsequent generations to fail. And so we have a system that's not sustainable. You just can't have $1.2 trillion in student loan debts because that fucks over the best and the brightest of your future leadership.
Mm-hmm.
So I used to work at Fannie Mae for a minute, for about 8 years, doing evil mortgage stuff. I loved it. I'm so good at doing evil shit, let me tell you. And so part of that is that nowadays, most of our generation, younger generations, if you're born 1970 and upwards,
Mm-hmm.
you're fucked because you have so much student loan debt you can't afford a home,
Mm-hmm.
and so you're going to be a perpetual renter. And nowadays, the most people's wealth is tied up into their home.
Right.
So, excuse me, I just had lunch. So people are fucked in the sense of that the American dream that they've been fed, it's an illusion. It's the carrot, and they just get the stick.
Yeah.
And so, from a societal perspective, the U.S. isn't as far ahead as we would think.
Right.
Particularly when you travel, I spent some time in. Actually, last week I went to Mauritius.
Oh,
Uh,
for
get
the
on Google.
blockchain conference, right?
Yes, at a
Yeah.
blockchain conference in
Yeah.
Mauritius.
Yeah.
So you got to get on Google. Oh man, Google's got a new globe.
Yeah.
The new globe map on Google is just
Yeah.
dope as shit. Let me
I
tell you.
haven't seen it yet. Is it just
What? Oh
like
man,
just today?
no, it came out
Oh,
like last week. It's so
okay.
cool.
Okay. I'll check it out.
When I'm not being an anthropologist, I love being a fake geographer. And so the globe is so cool. It's three-dimensional. It's super dope.
Oh, that's
It,
awesome.
it's super interactive. I cannot say you enough about that great product. I wish
I
I.
will check it out for sure.
But on the map, it's you go to Africa,
Mm-hmm.
you go to the bottom of Africa, you see Madagascar. You
Yeah.
go about 1,000 miles into the Indian Ocean, and there's Mauritius. It's a little
Wow.
tiny volcanic caldera. Um, and so Mauritius is a stepping stone or a jump off point into sub-Saharan Africa for
Right.
business and finance. Because typically when you say Hong Kong or Singapore, you get that those are financial hubs to Southeast Asia.
I
But when you
see.
say Mauritius, people are like, where the fuck is that?
Mm-hmm.
And so went to Mauritius, spent a lot of time in Dubai. The US is not actually that far ahead technologically
Mm-hmm.
than not most of the world. So
Right.
right now, approximately only 47% of the world has internet access.
Yep.
And of that, America is like number 28 on the list for like Wi-Fi penetration, free Wi-Fi.
Really?
Um, so we're fucked on a variety of measures. We've been so America first for so long that we forgot we needed to compete with the rest of the world. And so America's got a lot of lessons to learn. Hopefully we can pivot.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, we're gonna have an economic recession.
Yes.
Part of it is the student loan bubble, the subprime car loan, because those students, they drive cars.
Right.
Credit has been basically free since 2008, probably June of 2008. The interest rate has been functionally zero. So
Mm-hmm.
as the Federal Reserve ups its interest rate to 2%, that's 200% more than a whole generation of money managers, brokers, dealers have ever had to pay. So they
Wow.
have that visceral human reaction of, oh my God, 200% more. How are we going to afford this?
Of
When
course.
historically it's not that high.
Right.
Um, then you have, of course, Brexit. And most recently, we've doubled down on stupid and started a trade war with our nearest neighbors of Canada, Mexico, and of course, China. And
So
it's not that China's our nearest neighbor, but on a global economy, everybody's on the other side of the fence.
yes,
So
that's right.
it's sort of bleak, but there's filled with opportunities. So
Yeah.
don't be too disheartened.
What you know what, Samson, like I agree with your viewpoint. What do you think people can do to protect themselves, and what do you think is the most important move that the US government can make to to pivot?
Well, act your wage. That's
Mhm.
it. You got to act your wage. It requires to live within your means. It sucks. Most people they don't have that self discipline and self control.
Mhm.
It's sort of like if you're dieting, right?
Yep.
I know I shouldn't eat gummy bears. I fucking love gummy bears, by the
Me
way,
too, man.
right? I love them. It's like,
It
oh man,
doesn't
gummy
show.
bears, right? So my dinner of champions when I'm off doing entrepreneur shit and working is popcorn in a tequila sunrise, right? I'm like, oh, I'm gonna have some popcorn and tequila sunrise,
It's nice, man.
right? It's lovely. It's unhealthy as fuck.
It's
I know
awesome.
that. Everyone else knows that.
Fuel
And
for the
so,
fire.
right?
Yeah.
And so when it comes to dieting and exercise, there's really no difference in our fiscal policies,
Right.
right? We have to put ourselves on a diet and then we have to exercise discipline and due diligence to stay on it.
Mm-hmm.
So in 2007 and 2008, we had about $8 trillion worth of debt
Mm-hmm.
at the national level.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we have a little bit over $21 trillion. So in a decade, we've doubled down on stupid. We haven't paid down the debt. And there's no way to get out of that, because once you incur that debt, there is a way to get out of it. It just requires us to go to war with our biggest debtors,
Right.
our biggest creditors.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
That's not going to be good.
well, shit happens. People think it doesn't happen,
Yeah,
but
of course.
historically, particularly on the continent of Europe, every 50 to 80 years, they go through a debt crisis where it's like, fuck it, it's cheaper to go to war than it is to pay off your debt.
Right.
So we're gonna hit that point, particularly when you just take a step back, when you think, because you ask, what can the government do about it?
Mm-hmm.
And we just have to bite the bullet and have austerity plans. There's no two ways about it. I get it. I'm from Texas. By the grace of God, I was born in Texas, which makes me awesome because that's the center of the known universe. But Americans, we have to stop thinking that we are the center of the known universe and the police of the universe.
Right.
So every time we want to go bomb the shit out of somebody, that's super cool, right? We're really good at bombing people back into the Stone Age, but it just spends a lot of money. I call it pouring water on concrete, expecting flowers to grow. So our international diplomacy since 2001, we pour a lot of water on concrete. And what have we harvested? Nothing. A lot of dust. We have created more enemies, right? And we're never at a shortage of enemies internationally, which most people don't care. They don't give a fuck about, because only about 12% of Americans have passports, thank God, because the few of us that travel are enough. But it jeopardizes our place in the global ecosystem. It jeopardizes our place as a hegemon. It undermines our moral authority to tell either Russia or China or other governments, hey, perhaps you shouldn't be committing acts of genocide or bombing so-and-so or invading or running of police states, when we've, in a most recent brilliant move, we've decided that kidnapping children along this Mexico border was a good idea. And not only do we kidnap them, we basically hold them for ransom. Oh man, let me tell you some fucked up shit.
Yeah, please.
Now, if you're in custody, if you're already in baby jail, detention jail, and you're 17, and tomorrow is your birthday, August 29th, and you turn 18, congratulations, you've just been promoted to real jail.
Adult. Oh my God.
You go from adult. So what can America do? We have to take a big look in the mirror and think, is this the best foot we can put forward? Yeah. Right? Is our current POTUS the best representation of what it means to be America? That requires us to admit we fucked up. Yeah. We know we fucked up. Yeah. And we're going to take the necessary steps to unfuck ourselves. But, no one wants to admit they're wrong. I have a hard problem doing it myself. And so when you talk about everyone else, it's like, yeah, we're going to continue to be America, bomb the shit out of people. We know we're living on credit and borrowed time, but as a society and a conscience, we just haven't come to grips with, we need to rethink what we've been doing.
I agree with you.
So that's a long answer.
Yeah, I would have to agree with you. And I think that is a solid answer. I mean, like, what more can you do at this point in time? You can't pull the veil anymore. You just need to, I guess they just need to own up, as you say, and try to pivot before shit goes down. And I mean, I personally think it's quite imminent. It's long overdue. I am concerned about the global economic state. It's part of the reason why I love blockchain and distributed ledger technology. For those who don't know what blockchain is, Samson, as an educator, how do you explain that to people who have no idea what it is? We know it's not hot sauce.
That's true. It's true. It's true. So no, I do say blockchain isn't hot sauce. You can't put that shit on everything.
Right.
And that's just a way of explaining that it's not a panacea, meaning it's not going to cure human behavior, right? At the end of the day, we're still going to be assholes. And that's a challenge, because right now, the reason that poverty exists, that inequality exists, is people are dicks. Yeah. And we just don't know how to get over ourselves. But blockchain, what it will do and is doing, it's engaging people. It's saying, hey, people, this can be done differently. This can be done better. Let's just try it. And so before, the internet did this first. They said, hey, you're in Mauritius, Samson's in DC, we're going to connect you, right? And so Mauritius is 17,000 miles away. Again, when you get a chance, look it up on the Google Globe. Shit's dope. So my neighbor is 17,000 miles away, which is super cool.
Right.
And so this is where the internet first connect us, and then blockchain is going to give us a way to be that internet 3.0 that further drives in how interconnected we are. And it poses a customer service challenge to governments, particularly when it comes to issuing money. How I explain blockchain is like a group text message. There's 20 people, 100 people in this group text message, right? I'm gonna pretend this is my group text message.
Right.
And so on this group text message, I send a dick pic out, right? Now it's time stamped. Everyone knows it's from 0, right? It's my phone number. My name's not next to it, but now this dick pic exists. It's on everyone else's phone as well. So I can't delete it. So now it's distributed, it's on a ledger, and it's immutable because I can't delete it, right? It's blockchain. And so when you think, oh, that's funny, it's dick pic joke, haha. But when you think about, if I'm going to give you $100, I give Arash $100. Now everyone on this group text message, they see you've got $100. Right? You give someone 50, you give me 50, they see you've got 50, I've got 50. And when I give out all the rest of this money, I give out $40 to Bob and Jane. Now they can see group text message. The rest started off with 100. It gave Samson 50. Samson gave Bob 10 and Jane 10. How much money does Samson have? Right? Samson has $30 left. I can't change that. I can't go back and change it. Everyone can see this record, and it's distributed, because even if I delete it off of my device and be like, no, I never gave them this money, I still have $50, they'd be like,
it's still on mine.
Right? So that's how blockchain works at a high level. People tend to get it. They're like, oh, group text messages, that makes so much sense. And so how the magic of that works is for money. Again, blockchain makes you it challenges you to question things you've known to be fundamentally true. It's not that the piece of paper has value, but it actually represents debt. And so when you're thinking about digital currency or digital currencies or cryptocurrencies, it's a way of thinking, how are we noting this transfer of debt, this record of transaction of who has what? It's only as complicated as a group text message. And so on a blockchain, anything can be much like you send a meme, a picture, an address, data. Data is just data. It can be anything. And so on the group text message that is blockchain, it just notes data. That's absolutely it. So it's not too complicated. There's some folks, the biggest challenge is all the tech nerds. They've been dungeoning and dragging it up for so long, talking about their fucking Merkle trees and shit that no one actually cares about, that they lost the point of how to sell, how to convey what is the benefit of blockchain. Because if you have this text message, on this text message of cash between you and myself and everyone else, where's the bank? There's not a bank. It's just a record of peer-to-peer transactions. And so you're like, oh, fuck, that's right. On this group text message, there is no bank involved. It's just it's like, hey, I know who's got this money. I know who does it.
Just a simplified accounting system, really.
It's a glorified accounting system. That's it. But it's a glorified accounting system that in a brilliant stroke has removed what is called the intermediary, because banking is a service. Banks are a thing that provide banking. So people will always do banking. You and I can engage in banking and transactions. Do we need a bank? No. What do we need? A piece of technology that makes it super easy, convenient, and preferably is on one of these supercomputers, also known as your smartphone. And so that's where the future of blockchain is really going to disrupt, as it removes intermediaries. It's not going to be an overnight thing, because no institutions no longer want to be made irrelevant. Just ask the taxi cab commissions. When they're fighting Uber, they're like, oh, Uber's evil. Who on demand? That's so horrible. But now it's like, oh, the taxi cab commissions aren't even relevant.
Right.
So the banks are they're in the process of being Ubered, and they're fighting like mad
Clawing.
because for 300 years they've always had the right to print money, to say what was worth something, and to dictate your interest rates and how much you were eligible to be lent.
Right.
And so blockchain, again, it's just a group text message that says this transaction happened here at this time, and it gets rid of that intermediary. Right now, it's a bit rough. It's sort of like, oh man, remember Miami Vice? I don't know if you're old enough to remember it, right? Miami Vice, right? It was dope as shit. They had those big old brick phones. They were like this big. You talked to it like this. And you could own, no, not like this.
No,
you got
like this. My
Yeah, you got
dad
to hold
had
like
one.
this.
I
Right?
remember. It's like
It's like this.
brick.
Right? And so when you're talking on the brick phone, you could only talk.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, fuck, hello? Right? And oh man, long distance, right?
Yeah.
Get your brick phone out, you make a long distance phone call. Yeah. And nowadays, it's like, oh, when you see, so this is an iPhone 6S. Mm-hmm. It's, I don't know, probably a year and a half old. It's 5 generations old. This is old technology. It still works. It's super great. The history of the world in the palm of your hand, mm-hmm. and I'm mostly using it to send out tweets and Snapchats. Yeah. So when you look at the evolution of the cell phone over the last 30 years, it went from a giant brick to a smartphone. And so when you look at blockchain, yeah, it's a clunky. It doesn't do everything that we'd like it to do. Right. But much like that first generation cell phone, I rarely talk to people on my phone. It's like, fuck, I have to talk to somebody? I don't want to do that shit. But I can do everything else on my cell phone. Yeah. And so blockchain, the technology itself, it will continue to evolve. People are always like, oh, blockchain doesn't do this, and this other shit. And I'm like, it's like asking my nephew who's 14 months old why he can't fly.
Yeah, it's unrealistic.
It's not realistic. Yeah. And so as he gets older and he can do more things, my expectations of him, because he's also going to evolve and grow. And so blockchain as a technology will evolve and grow. It's not at a static state. So when people are saying it doesn't do this, and this other shit, the smartphone dropped in 2007. The internet existed from 1963-ish. It took a long years from 1963 to 2007 when the first smartphone dropped. All the apps on this motherfucker, they didn't even exist before 2007, because apps as a thing didn't exist because it needed this medium to make it happen. And of course, a decade later, 11 years later, we take it for granted that apps didn't exist. Wi-Fi is fucking magic. We're super dependent on it. Yeah. It's like oxygen.
It is.
And it's only like 8 years old. But no one's like, oh, Wi-Fi is so amazing. They're like, I do this shit to myself all the time. I'm on a plane. I'm flying on Emirates, 16 hours, Dubai to Fort Lauderdale. Yeah. We're traveling 585 miles an hour, 0.85 of Mach. Mm-hmm. And I'm complaining because I have a slow Wi-Fi connection over the ocean. That whole string of things is just me being stupid because I don't appreciate how amazing this is.
That's right.
So when you think about blockchain, yeah, it don't work like we want it to. Let it grow up.
Of course. I think that's a brilliant explanation, Samson. What do you have to say to people who say that something like Bitcoin, for example, doesn't have any intrinsic value?
I just put a piece of gum in my mouth.
No, take your time.
And so a dollar has as much intrinsic value as this wrapper, right? Paper does not equal wealth or money. Mm-hmm. Debt doesn't equal money or wealth. Credit doesn't equal wealth. And so because the dollar isn't backed by anything, this requires us to challenge those things we always knew to be true. Mm-hmm. The dollar is not backed by anything. We believe it is worth $1 mm-hmm. because we believe it is worth $1. Right. So in Bitcoin's case, yeah, we believe it's worth $1, so it's worth $1. We can actually say for Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies, there's a finite supply. Mm-hmm. Bitcoin has approximately about 21 million Bitcoins, mm-hmm. whereas $1, you can't make any more Bitcoin. There's a finite amount. There's 21 million, so it's like, hey, When there's the 21 millionth of this pin, that's it. There are no more pins.
Yeah.
But with the dollar, we just need more ink, right? If you want to make more money, let's find more ink. Let's find more paper. And when we talk about the difference between cryptocurrencies and digital currencies, so cryptocurrencies, in my book, they have a finite amount and they have cryptography based back to it. And you can actually see where was this dollar, where was this Litecoin made? When was it born? And where has it been since its birth? Can't do that with the dollar. No. So when you want to create more dollars, more USD or fiat, you just need more ink. And when we talk about digital currency, it gets even easier. You don't even need to bother with the ink or the paper. You just need to add a couple more zeros or just move the decimal over.
Right.
And it's like, hey, I just created $1 billion worth of more new money just by moving the decimal over.
That's right. And making the existing dollars in our pocket lose value every time they print.
Part of that is a policy decision. So the dollar is at a 43-year low. To make sense of this, this is spearmint gum, blow pops. You remember blow pops?
Yeah.
Right? Blow pops.
Yeah.
Blow pops they used to cost a quarter. They cost a quarter for, like, as far as I can remember, in the 80s, in the 90s, in the 2000s. Now the motherfuckers are like 35 cents, right? I'm like, how you go up 10 cents? And it doesn't sound like a lot, but you're paying 33% more.
That's right.
Right?
That's right.
And so you're paying 33% more for the same item. So your purchase power is actually declining.
That's
and
right.
So when you look at the purchase power of a dollar, oh man, the Wendy's Happy Meal, the Wendy's dollar value meal is such a good example. The Frosties used to be like this big. Now their joints are like this big.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, oh, your dollar, it used to buy this much of a Frosty. It used to buy a Samson head worth of Frosty, and I got a big head. Right? Now it buys an ear worth of Frosty because the Frosties are so small. So that's just a simple way to see that your purchase power for a dollar has gone down. If you doubt this, go try to rent somewhere. And so I live in DC and Florida, and occasionally I'm in New York. Rent is hell of expensive.
Right.
And so if you want a 1-bedroom in New York, you're probably paying $3 or $4 grand and living in like the Bronx, right? You're not even actually in New York. Same thing in DC. And so the amount of real estate you can get in your house you can rent for your dollar has gone down drastically.
That's right.
So your dollar is actually losing value every day. That's a policy decision to make it exporting goods more lucrative or profitable.
Right.
But as we mess around with the monetary policies, we also incur all the ill effects. So we're going to see how those chickens come home to roost.
It'll be interesting to watch it all go down, Samson. What do you think is the number one barrier to cryptocurrency adoption right now?
Banks. I mean, they don't. Do you think the taxi cab commission wanted to lose all of its drivers as revenue streams?
No.
I doubt it. I'm looking for something in my.
Feel free.
I want to give you an example.
Yeah,
then it will
ahead.
make more sense. Okay, here. What's in your wallet? I got a Capital One card, right?
Yep.
So I'm gonna show you my Capital One card. You see this little thing right here? This chip?
Yep.
That's 2-decade-old technology outside of the States.
Wow.
So
I didn't know.
if you're in China or Europe, they've moved on to touch pay, where I pay for shit with my watch and my phone.
Right.
And so they rolled out chips in the States last year because the banks didn't want to pay for the infrastructure upgrades to accept the chip.
Right.
And so when you think about cryptocurrencies and blockchain in general, for cryptocurrencies, they're saying, we're going to get rid of the bank. You don't need a card. You do need a wallet. And for many services, the banks aren't going to make any fees.
Right.
And so that threatens their cheese, right? You're going to steal all their money, all their customers. And so, of course, the banks are going to lobby against it. That's why it's very well known that only drug dealers, money launderers, and sex traffickers use cryptocurrencies or Bitcoin, right?
Sure.
That's it. Blockchain, the technology, that's like black magic. Only witches use that shit. And so I love it when someone says, hey, we should regulate blockchain. I'm like, why the fuck would you regulate why would you regulate a way of structuring data? That's like saying we're going to regulate the alphabet. That's stupid. You shouldn't regulate the alphabet or programming language or a way of structuring data. You can regulate the output, the goods, products, and services that come out of blockchain that are based on blockchain. But to regulate blockchain, it just makes you seem stupid because we're going to regulate the alphabet. I have a personal grievance against F's, C's, T's, E's, and I's, most of the vowels. I know that I comes before E, except after C and some other rules. So I'm going to regulate the alphabet. You are henceforth banned from spelling any onomatopoeias. And then people are like, what the fuck's an onomatopoeia? Right. Then they go to Google. Right. But that's just my rant about that. So the biggest impediment is the banks are lobbying against it because they don't want to lose their revenue streams. Again, it jeopardizes them. Think about the banks like they were the taxi cab commissions. And Uber as a technology is like, hey, we don't own cars. We sort of own apps. And so we don't own any cars, but we're the #1 transportation company in the world. Right. And so you can have companies like Uber and Airbnb who don't own physical assets. They provide services. Then again, moving on to the banking sector, what do you need a bank for? Right. If you can still have the same convenience of peer-to-peer transactions without the intermediary.
You're right. You're absolutely right. And that's an interesting perspective. I would have thought you would have said something else, but I think I would have to agree now that you've, shined light on that banks, that is the #1 institution that is at risk. And I mean, all of these things, like, for example, I don't know if you're still able to buy cryptocurrency with credit card. I don't think you are with a lot of places. Just the sort of restrictions that they're beginning to put on and making things a lot more difficult. And a lot of it we don't see. I mean, I think that the opposition against blockchain and cryptocurrency will be a very long, drawn out battle until they can, catch up, basically. So, like, I want to know, in your opinion, Samson, how can people contribute to the acceleration of cryptocurrency adoption?
Watch this video.
Thank you.
Yes, that is one. And so the other big impediment is education. Checks, like, you write out a check. That was a new invention.
Yeah.
Debit cards at ATMs, automatic teller machines. The first one rolled out in 1969 in London, didn't actually take off. They came to the States in 1983-ish. It took them a while to take off. Now, if I have to go to a bank to talk to a person, that's a complete and utter fail because I hate humans. It's like, oh my God, I have to talk to a human. Oh, this is going to be so difficult. Because from a technology perspective, that's a point of failure. Like, nothing worked, so I have to talk to a human. This is horrible.
Right.
Go buy an airplane ticket, fuck it up, and then have to talk to a human. You're going to be on the phone for like an hour and a half. Easily, right? Hands down. And so, like, oh my God, I've got to talk to a human being. This is horrible. But we've reached a point where technology gives us so much convenience that we take it for granted. And so the next step for blockchain adoption and cryptocurrency adoption is people use it like Wi-Fi. There's invisible waves in the air that talk to this black rock that make everything happen, that enable me to talk to my grandmother, right? And so we take it for granted it just works. What that next step for blockchain and cryptocurrencies are GUI interfaces. Well, right now we're talking through a web browser. Back in the day, you entered DOS commands to start your computer. Then Windows showed up and like, oh my God, Windows is amazing. It's revolutionary. Yeah. And then Mozilla and Firefox, and now we have Chrome. And those GUI interfaces made it easier to use the internets, right? And so we haven't had that GUI interface moment in blockchain where it's, hey, how do you validate a transaction? Oh, you just open up this browser. They're coming. And so that will push adoption, because it's going to be cheaper, easier, and more efficient to use these blockchain-based products than to use products that come from someone else. So Banks lobby against it. People aren't as educated because there aren't the products that people can use. I use cryptocurrencies to get paid internationally because Swift sucks. Swift is I don't forget what Swift stands for, but it's how you send money through internationally. So I've been missing some thousands of dollars from a German company for the last 2 months. Whereas the folks that do business in India, I just have them pay me in Ethereum and it takes 6 minutes.
Instantly.
And so banks lobbying against it and education from useful tools or useful products. Those are the three big impediments. But again, blockchain is like my nephew. It's still a baby.
Yeah.
It's growing up. Give it some time. Everybody's just so impatient. I'm 30,000 feet yelling at my slow Wi-Fi connection on my Emirates flight, 16 hours, Dubai to Fort Lauderdale. I'm like, why doesn't this work?
Oh man, that's brilliant, Samson. In the interest of time, I do want to wrap it up as I know you may have to go, but can you just tell us a bit about what you do with Axes and Eggs, where more people can learn more about Samson Williams, and anything else that may come to mind that's important to you?
Sure. At Axes and Eggs, we're a blockchain think tank. We're a think tank. Our motto is we answer the questions Google can't. So if you can Google something, you should do that. Don't bother us with it. If you Google it and you can't answer that question, then you can come ask us. Because otherwise you won't care because we're going to charge you a fortune and you're like, but I can Google that. You should go do that. It saves everybody's time. Cool. And so you can visit us online at www.axesandaeggs.com. My name is Samson Williams. I'm originally from Waller, Texas, the center of the known universe. It's got a population of maybe 2,000 people even today. Wow. I tell people many sky miles ago, I grew up on a farm. Awesome. You can find out more information on me at samsonwilliams.com, SAMSON Williams. You should be able to just type my name into Google and it will pop up and you'll learn a little bit about what I do. So if you are a startup or an entrepreneur and you have questions about blockchain or cryptocurrencies, how it works, check out our webpage, check out my LinkedIn page, Samson Williams Axes and Eggs on LinkedIn, and it gives you some free resources. Because if you come and ask us, oh, how much this costs or what can I do for this or where do I start to learn, we will give you some snide ass remark back in some hyperlinks. It's not that we want to be dicks. It's just that I want to be a dick and I appreciate your time. So I want you to value mine. Because we understand that this is new and interesting to many people. So we put the resources on our online so that they're available to you 24/7, 365. If you're an enterprise solution, we're Team David. We only fight with IBM, Consensus, and some of the other big guys because, they've historically always had a lock on the big businesses. Yeah. And so, hey, we like worthy competition.
Not Team Goliath?
No, not Team Goliath, Team David, because we're always hungry and the only thing we eat is Goliath, right? Goliath awesome. Is always on the menu. So if you're a giant company, that's great. We're lean, we're nimble. And we're here to steal your customers because we believe in customer service. Blockchain at the end of the day is a customer service battle because people want things 24/7, 365. They want it better, faster, cheaper, and they want it on this device. And so for enterprise clients, hey, we're here to help you. For the government folks that we talk to, it's so funny. Some of them will have us come to their offices. Some of them will meet incognito at different places. It's so hilarious. So whether you're from DC or Dubai or Europe, shameless plug, October 18th, I'm at Parliament in Austria, in Vienna, Austria, for crowd dialogue. I'm giving a keynote on something I have to remember. It has to do with cryptocurrency regulations. Because last year when we were in Greece, I gave the keynote for cryptocurrency regulations. So we're here to help. And if you just want to bullshit, take a little bit of time. If we're not busy working, we're happy to bullshit and take a little bit of time. And actually, I play a lot of online chess. You can find me on Chess with Friends, Samson MW. I can dominate.
Wait, hold on 1 second. I've been looking for a good chess player for a while. Samson, say that again?
Yeah. So this is chess.com app.
Okay, I'm going to get that. And what's your nickname there?
Samson MW.
MW.
Yeah. I
Awesome.
will talk so much shit to you while we were playing chess because I think of chess like a contact sport, right? It's like I'm playing basketball or football.
I love it.
I'm talking trash about you, your ancestors, your mama, your goldfish, everybody.
It's throwing me right off, eh? I'll make sure I don't open the messages till I make the move.
That's right.
Uh,
By the time you get your head in the game, the time's up. Particularly if we're playing 5 minutes.
we're
I'm like,
playing
oh man,
timed. We're playing timed, are we?
playing time. 'Cause, I tell people, particularly when we talk about blockchain, and I'll get off the phone.
Yep.
When we're talking about blockchain, don't let the techies lead you down the rabbit holes. New technology will always emerge. You need to take a step up, look at it from a strategic perspective and say, what is it disrupting? Why is this important? How is it going to impact my vertical? What can I do to position myself to be relevant?
Right.
Because yes, it's very nice if you want to be a coder. I have an article out there. It's called Blockchain, the Santa Claus Perspective. Santa Claus is the ultimate global executive. He only does two things. He executes and delivers. He's got elves who build shit. So if you want to be a blockchain dev, you want to be an elf, go off and be an elf. Go build some shit and lock you in a room. Come out in 364 days.
Yeah.
As Santa Claus, or if you're Santa Claus, you're a global CEO. Right. Execution and delivery. That's it. And so there are many avenues that you can take in the blockchain space. If you want to be a Santa Claus in the blockchain space, we can help you with that. If you want to be an elf, we have some great training partners at chainhouse.com who offer Ethereum, Viper, Hyperledger training, so you can be the best fucking elf that you could possibly be. So I apologize for the profanity. I'm going to stop doing it. It just comes out because it's not that I lack proper vocabulary. It's the right words most of the time.
You know what? Feel free. I think profanity is a great form of expression, and I think intelligent people swear. So, in any case, Samson, I will put those links down in the description. I'd like to thank you so much. It has been a great pleasure. You are brilliant. You are fantastic. I love your delivery. I love your perspective. I greatly appreciate your time, and it has been an absolute joy.
All right, excellent. Last point, I'm going to start teaching a law school class in January on tokenomics.
Okay.
And so I'll be able to tell you the name of the law school next month. So just follow up with me.
I will.
Because it will be partially an online class, so people around the world can take it.
Beautiful. I'll take that info and put that in the description as well. Thank you so much for your time, Samson. I hope you have a fantastic day, and I'll talk to you soon, okay?
Likewise. Peace.
Cheers. Bye-bye.
Are we done?
Bitcoin or Ethereum?
Ethereum.
Okay. No, we're done. I'm going to call you afterwards.
All right. Bye.
Bye-bye. And it's a wrap. Thank you very much to Samson Williams for joining me. Thank you very much for tuning in. This is 2C Talks. I'm your host, Arash 2C, and until next time, have a productive week.